What's up, internet? My name's Ori. It is Tuesday, August 12th, day number 36 inside the Big Brother house. Zach makes what could be a $740,000 decision. Rachel rats out the heavy hitters. What does this all mean for Thursday's eviction? Let's talk about that, plus all the intel drama and more from yesterday's live feeds. But first, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit that like button. Hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Little bit of a catch up for you if you guys haven't been keeping up with everything going on. Ava won HOH and she nominated Keanu, Vince, and Zach. Catherine won the veto, and though she didn't plan on using it, we all knew that Zach's 10K was still in play and he can take himself off the block after the veto ceremony. Catherine didn't use her veto. Zach also didn't use his veto. What are we doing here, Zach? So listen, all right. I know there's still a lot of questions floating around. I've heard a lot of people wondering, what this all means. Here's the thing. From everything that I understand, he had to use it at the end of the veto ceremony. That's how it's kind of worded in that opening video where he first got his power. It says, at the end of the veto ceremony, you can take yourself off the block. Now, it is worded a little weirdly where it does say anytime from now until jury. After the veto ceremony, if you feel you're in danger, you can take yourself off the block. Or at the end of the veto ceremony, if you feel you're in danger, you could take yourself off the block. So I know there's still some questions in it, but I am fairly certain he has missed his opportunity to use it. We also got a little bit of confirmation on that a little bit later. But yeah, he did not use his power, and this could be a huge mistake for Zach's game. It's really wild too, because I don't understand what his thought process really was, other than one thing, and we'll get to that, because all the convos that he really was having seemed to give him the impression that it was at the very least 50-50. He could go home, and by my count, it's probably less than that. So it really is a huge risk that he's taking here, hoping, I guess, that he wins the blockbuster. But even that, you can't go in there just hoping to win the blockbuster, because there's a 2 in 3 chance that you're going to be one of the ones that's going to be on the block with it, right? Especially if you just don't go in there and try as hard as you can, thinking that, oh, maybe you have the votes, which I don't think he actually does think he has the votes, but maybe he does. It is just a wild decision that he made. So let's go through some of the fallout here of neither of the vetoes getting used, because I assumed we were going to be going into a day full of feeds where was just a wild situation where Zach was now off the block. Morgan would have been falling apart because she would have been the renom. But we didn't get that. What we did get was Zach and Mickey having a little bit of a chat. They were talking about the votes and where things stand, right? His $10,000 did come up, but Mickey said that, that was really like Adrian who brought that up about, people wanting to get him out for the 10K. And again, this isn't him talking about the power. This is just him talking about the idea that he had $10,000 and that could be something that people might want to get him out of the game for. He was crying during this whole thing, and she was consoling him. He was just saying, I'm just so exhausted, I'm so tired, and he just can't keep it up really anymore. It's just such a hard game. But brother, you could have taken yourself off the block. It would have been a lot easier. It would have been a lot easier. Zach, though, then later did tell his 10K power to Morgan, and he told all about the power it holds, that he could have taken himself off the block, and he says he didn't use it today because he knew that there was a good chance that Morgan would have gone onto the block, and he feels like he has a better shot to stay. And he also confirmed that should he stay, he can still use his power moving forward. So again, he has missed his opportunity this week. Zach will be on the block for eviction unless they pull out some crazy twist that we aren't aware of. Everything that we're hearing is he fully decided not to use his power, and he decided to stay on the block this week. We then also had some really interesting things go down, because not only was that just a big topic, everybody was really wondering what was going to be going on with it. A couple other things happened today, and a lot of info was being spread around. First off, we had Mickey, who went and had a conversation with Keanu, and this turned kind of heated, where she knows that he went to Morgan and Vince trying to see, like, oh yeah, what was that Mickey conversation that she had with me about, like kind of, checking to see where he was at. And she didn't like the idea that he went behind her back to Morgan and Vince instead of just coming to Mickey to be like, hey, were you just like trying to check what I was up to? Which again, like, Mickey, that's kind of like, you wouldn't go to the person that you're trying to confirm whether or not they were being honest with you if they were being honest. Like they're not. If you have questions, Mickey, I don't follow why you're mad here. Like this is just 100% what you would expect Keanu to do. But Keanu kind of goes along with it a little bit. You're like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry. We still want to work with you. Blah blah blah. But one of the things he does bring up is how Morgan has been feeling about the nominations and how things are going this week. He was saying that Morgan thinks, from her point of view, that, you're trying to, make her choose between her friends. And you know what? She's trying to save her friends right now. I'm worried about that because I'm up against her friends. And he also says, like, listen, there's a lot of things going on about, hey, the only people who went and talked to Ava before these nominations were you, Will, and Rachel was only in there for like 2 minutes. So it's one of those things where he's kind of pushing this idea like, yeah, Mickey, your buddy Morgan, she thinks that you had a lot to do with this, and she has to pick between her friends now, and I'm against her friends, so I'm never going to get her vote no matter what. Mickey talks about how she loves Morgan, but like she really did that to herself. She's the ones who chose to be with that side. She didn't choose to kind of separate her and make any kind of distance between them. That was her making that choice to go hang out with them. And Mickey also worries about Keanu because he's so obsessed with Rachel, as she says. Which Keanu's like, wait, whoa, obsessed? What do you mean obsessed? He's like, listen, we have a weird relationship, all right, but obsessed is a little dramatic, don't you think? Anyway, though, that was just kind of an interesting little conversation where some seeds of doubt are being put into Mickey's head again about Morgan. Morgan's also had seeds of doubt put in her head by Mickey. So this is Keanu kind of stirring the pot a little bit there. Mickey then went and had a conversation where she just talked about all the stuff that Keanu was telling her, and how, crazy things are in there, and that all this stuff is going on. But Ava, she's just like, it is what it is. All I know is I think I made the right decisions with my nominees, right? Like if everyone's running around all upset that these nominees are on the block, then I probably did the right thing, right? Nobody would be shedding a tear if it was, her, Mickey, or Will up there on the block. But because it's Vince and Zach, everyone's all upset and up in arms about it. She also said nobody did this when Adrian was here. So she's really confident that she's made the right decision here. And Mickey says that she kind of wants Zach out right now. Again, switching up, right? Like Mickey has been changing her views on who she wants to leave this week so many times. We've heard Zach's name been thrown out there. Vince's name was thrown out there. Keanu's name was thrown out there. So Mickey's really kind of all over the place with who she is wanting to vote out at any given moment during the day. So we'll see where that actually ends up landing, because I don't really know 100% where her vote does stand right now, and what she would end up doing in any of the situations. Mickey told Will all about the Morgan stuff as well, just about planting the seeds that, it was really Mickey and Will who kind of influenced Ava's nominations this week. And it was all an attempt to kind of separate Morgan from Vince and Zach. And Mickey continues to spread that around. She even tells it to Riley. So that is all stuff that is getting around the house now, which I don't think it has gotten back to Morgan just yet, or even Vince or Zach, because if it did, that would be even more that they would have against Mickey at this point. Morgan, meanwhile, she was running around trying to figure out exactly what she can do to help save Zach and Vince. She met up with both of them, kind of laid out, how the house looks with M&Ms, the good old strategy. Finally, the candy coming back, like they've been using a lot of the fake cherries, which, is great, right? But, bring us back to old school gummy bears. That's the best way to do it. But she laid out kind of the house, standing at the moment. And one of the things that they really realize is that Mickey is in a really good spot, and they really should be careful about what kind of info they share with her, just in case, right? Because if she decides that she wants to flip, she probably could with the numbers. So that is definitely something that they're worried about. Speaking of info, Rachel, she decided to drop a little bit of info on everybody today. Well, at least to Kelly and Keanu, because what she told them was there is a majority alliance in the house, and it's called the heavy hitters. She's not in it though. Rachel is not. This is no. Rachel wasn't in the heavy hitters though. No. She just knows about it. She knows the name. She knows who was in it. Right? She tells Keanu and Kelly, but no, I wasn't in it. Don't worry about me. I was not in it. But they talk about kind of working together, and they're like, we kind of really need to, and we really should have to have each other's back here, because if we just go after each other, then, we're just doing everybody else's dirty work. Kelly says it would probably really work too, because, she's told everybody, like, I don't want to work with him. And, they're never going to expect that Kelly and Rachel are working together either. And Rachel even goes on to say, it's like, yeah, we can do this just as a trio. You don't really need a big group in this game, which to an extent can be true, right? Do you need a large alliance? No, you need numbers. You always need numbers. But if you do have a really solid duo or trio, you can do a lot in this game. You can work together to spread misinformation the right way so the right people are hearing it. Then when they're comparing notes about what people heard, they're hearing the same things from the right people, and you can make it all really work really well and make sure that you have the right people on your side, people that can pull certain people over to be able to vote with your group, even though they're not with the group. So it can be done, but at the end of the day, you need numbers. This is all kind of a mute point though, because Keanu, what does he do? He goes right to Vince and tells him everything about how Rachel just told them about the Heavy Hitters Alliance. Vince is like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Eventually, though, Vince goes and he tells even Morgan about all this as well, about Rachel just, throwing out everything she can at this point. Rachel, though, also pitched to Zach, and she said, I want to work with you. I think we can go really far. And he said he was 100% down when she was asking, like, all right, who else do you like? He said that, I'm really good with Lauren, and I think, she's somebody that we can really work with. But this was all before he heard about the heavy hitter news, which Morgan does tell Zach about, Rachel exposing the heavy hitters and how that all went down. And they really worry because, like, she could tell other people now, right? So if she tells other people, they really got to start getting their story straight here about what they're going to do, because they got to pretty much say, like, oh no, like, this was just a thing that happened. Like, it was all Jimmy. Rachel was 100% in it, so she's probably just trying to blame us. So that's what, kind of their view on it. And then they say, like, listen, like, Morgan's like, listen, we got to keep both you and Vince. It has to be you guys that stay. We have to get rid of Keanu, and then we got to win HOH, and we got to take out Rachel. We got to take that shot. Vince ends up telling Mickey that Keanu had, all this stuff about the heavy hitters that he wanted to know about because Rachel had told him. And it's just this whole thing. And Rachel is, not a part of it. And now she's scared they're after her. And that, Rachel had mentioned, them and Morgan and Zach all being in it. So Rachel's throwing them completely under the bus. So it's interesting to see, where Mickey's going to head with this, because again, like, Mickey's in a weird spot where she's really good with a lot of different people. What I have to do is update my allegiance chart, but it's just such a mess right now in the house. It's a little bit hard to actually say exactly where people are, but we'll take a look at my current one now, because I don't think it's too far different, but I think definitely some people are moving up and down along that board. We also had Kelly tell Lauren that Mickey is now her target, and she says she scares the crap out of me in more, like, so many ways. And she says, you know what, like, we gotta make that move, and we gotta do it, because here's the thing with Mickey. Kelly was saying she didn't even want me to use the veto when she nominated me. Like, of course I'm going to use the veto if I win it and I'm on the block. So she doesn't like the way that Mickey's playing, and she really thinks that has to be somebody that you have to go after. But Kelly then also pushed that Keanu should be staying over Vince. Morgan end up talking to Ashley, and they talk about, potentially working with Vince and Zach. And they think if both of them stay, they actually can do really well. So that could be kind of a thing. And then Ashley says her only big problem is with Vince, and she doesn't know whether or not Vince even has the votes. And if she voted against Keanu and he ended up staying, that would be really a problem for her. But Morgan's like, don't worry about that. And she kind of goes over the votes with her to try and reassure her. But I don't think Ashley is at all into keeping Vince this week. Zach, yes. Vince, no. Another thing that ended up happening was Mickey asking Morgan how her day was, right? She was like, doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm good." And then Morgan's like, "How about you? What have you been up to?" And Mickey's like, haven't been talking any game at all. None at all. Meanwhile, she was throwing her Morgan under the bus to Will, Ava, like everybody who wanted to listen after her talk with Keanu. But now that she knows about the whole thing with Rachel and Keanu and the heavy hitters, they're really wondering, well, maybe Keanu isn't somebody that, you should really work with because he says just too much. Again, this is Mickey now talking to Morgan, which he's not going to say to Morgan or even Vince and Zach when they're talking about, the vote, that whether or not she's going to vote them out. But I do think there could be something here where now that she's hearing that Keanu is ratting stuff out that Rachel was saying, she's even less inclined to try and work with him, even with all of the drama they had earlier, and maybe that, they could still work something out. It just seems like that could be something to look out for here. Eventually, though, throughout the day, things kind of started to slow down a little bit. There were still some talks here and there. We'll go over the votes where I'll really kind of break that down. But one of the things that ended up happening towards the end of the night was almost it turned into date night. We had Lauren and Zach who were just hanging out, really just flirting and having a proper date, right? Like they were going over like, "Oh, well, like, are you a Disney girly? Would you wear the ears?" He's like, "Good." She's like, "No, I wouldn't wear the ears." He's like, "Oh, that's good because I wouldn't wear the ears either." We're like, "What's your favorite park?" Like it was just them really just legit on a date, what it felt like. So Zach is trying to put some FaceTime in there with her, with Lauren, because he already thinks he has her vote, but this is again trying to secure it even more. I'm not 100% though. If he does have Lauren's vote, that could be one of the votes that's up in the air. Meanwhile, there was kind of like a weird, it wasn't really a date, but like it was very similar going on in the backyard with Morgan and Vince, who were just going over life stuff as well. Vince also before that was having talks with Riley, trying to really, secure his vote, somebody else that he really feels like he needs going into this. And really, if we do take a look here at our allegiance chart, like I said, I really feel like I have to redo a lot of this. I feel like Mickey's kind of finding herself again more in the middle, where depending on where her vote goes will really decide where she would 100% land. But I think Mickey's got to come down on the board a little bit. I think it's so weird because I don't even know exactly how this has happened other than there's just now bigger targets. And it's one of those things where the social credit, it's kind of a weird barometer to even use, right? The way I try and do it is, who's more likely to be voted out or who's more likely to be put up as a nominee, but also like who would have like more influence over the other house guests when they're talking, right? And while Catherine and Riley, I don't think they would have influence, they seem to be in a little bit of a better spot because there's less and less people who are actually looking at them right now and looking at them as more numbers to add along with them. I feel like maybe even Kelly should probably move up a little bit. Zach probably needs to come back down again. I kind of pushed Zach back up because I was on the assumption, this guy's going to use his 10K. He's going to be fine this week. I don't think anybody's going to be upset about it. But no, now he keeps himself on the block. So who knows where he really is going to stand, because let's break down some of these votes. Let's say right off the bat, it was Keanu versus Zach. I don't think Zach has the votes right now. I think he would have Vince, Morgan, Lauren. Those would be kind of locked in votes to keep Zach over Keanu. On the other side, though, I think right now you have Rachel, Ashley, Will, and Kelly locked in. Mickey's vote kind of up in the air. I do not 100% know where Mickey would end up going. There were times where she was saying that Zach had to leave. There were times that she said that Vince had to leave. There were times now that she was saying Keanu had to leave. So it's really all dependent on where her vote ends up landing, on what side she's going to be on, because she switches up every day. Every hour, she's always changing her mind. We talked about how indecisive Lauren was during her HOH. Mickey might just be as indecisive between all three of these as Lauren was. Speaking of Lauren, we'll get to her too, because I have questions. Now, other than Mickey, the other two big votes would be Catherine and Riley. Both of them, I think, might actually be votes to keep Keanu over Zach. Crazy, I know, but they also could be potentially swing votes, right? If they swing either way, those are big votes for Keanu or Zach. If Zach wants to stay, he needs all three of Catherine, Riley, and Mickey to vote for him to stay. Otherwise, he would leave, because you only need 6. and he only has 3 that are locked in. Meanwhile, Keanu, he only needs 2 of those. He just needs 2 because he's got Rachel, Ashley, Will, and Kelly, I think, all locked in to keep Keanu versus Zach. What about Keanu versus Vince? Almost the exact same situation. You just swap out Vince for Zach in the voting pool, right? I think Vince would have Zach, Lauren, and Morgan locked in against Keanu. That would be not a question. But then on the other side of that, I think, again, you have Rachel, Ashley, Will, and even Kelly probably on the side. Kelly is even potentially a question mark where maybe she could be pulled over to the Vince side, but I think she really has more trust in Keanu now at this point. But Kelly's a bit of a wild card. And then again, I have questions on whether or not Mickey would end up keeping Vince over Keanu, or if Riley or Catherine would end up voting with Vince or Keanu. I think Riley is more locked in on Vince as well, and I think Catherine would go along with him. But then again, that's only 5, right? So you need 6 in order to be able to stay. So I don't know. I don't know what Mickey would end up doing in this situation, because she could end up even kind of splitting the whole thing. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. And then the other big one would be Vince versus Zach. And this is, again, where Zach, I think, made a $740,000 mistake here. Because the way I see it, I think Zach has a 2 and 3 shot of leaving this week. I think he leaves versus Keanu, and I think he leaves also against Vince. Right now for Vince, I would have Keanu, Kelly. Catherine has said that she would vote for Vince over Zach. I would assume Riley would go along with that. Then you would also have, the question marks of what Morgan would do, what Mickey would do. And then I also have questions about what Lauren would do. I think Lauren, although she has a great personal relationship with Zach, I think she has a much closer game relationship with Vince. And I think one of the big things that Lauren worries about is being attached to somebody in this game, almost like Catherine and Riley are. It's why she tries to distance herself so much from Catherine as well, even game-wise. Whereas her and Vince still feel like not that many people actually pair them together. And I feel like there's a very strong chance that Lauren would vote for Vince over Zach. Kind of the same thing with Morgan here as well, where Morgan, I feel like, has a much better game relationship with Vince, but a very much more personal relationship with Zach. And I think this is where these two women are really going to have to decide what matters more to them: their personal relationship with Zach, their feelings for Zach, because both of them have very strong feelings for Zach, or their game relationships with Vince. And I honestly don't know either way. Now, if you ask Vince, Morgan is very emotional, so she will end up voting to keep Zach. If you ask Lauren, if you ask Zach again, he'll also say that Lauren probably is emotional, even though Zach is probably one of the most emotional players in the house right there. He's choosing not to use his 10,000 just because potentially Morgan would go up on the block. Also, maybe Zach really did just think he was super comfortable right now and would have the votes no matter what. So he felt like he can save it for at least another week. Because that's the thing, too. If we look at, our big board here, we don't 100% know if it's a 7-person or a 9-person jury. If it's a 9-person jury, well, then we're going to be starting jury not at this eviction, but the next eviction. That would be right when jury would start. So that last person, and then not this next person voted out, but then next Thursday, that would be the last pre-juror, and then we would be in jury. So that would mean that Zach would have one more week to be able to use his 10K to keep him safe before jury. So maybe he's thinking about that, where it's like, hey, we might also be near jury, so that could be a thing. If it's not a 9-person jury, then we still would have to wait until jury would go. There's still at least a couple more evictions. So I don't know, maybe that is part of his thought process as well. But a big thing that he told Morgan, when now, as far as we know, Morgan is the only one who knows that his 10K had a power. Especially because if I were Vince and I knew that he had a power, I'd be kind of wondering there, man, like, why are you not using the power? You must feel real comfortable if it ended up being me versus you. So as far as I know, Morgan right now is the only one that knows that Zach had this 10K power that he could use to take himself off the block. Everybody else is fully unaware of it. He has not used it, and it is crazy to me that he did not. I'm just completely blown away. If you would have had me bet on it, I would have bet on it yesterday that he would have ended up using it during the update. And then all through the day yesterday, I was in complete shock to how that turned out. Again, it could end up being a $740,000 mistake. It's not 750 because he's got 10K out of it at the very least. But that's pretty much all I got for you today. Like I said, they were kind of still up there, but it was more of like date night than anything else as I'm recording this. So I'm going to end up calling it here. It's even at the moment just been on We'll Be Right Back for a long time as well. But thank you guys all again so much for watching. All the love and support you guys have shown me on this channel this season has been amazing. And I really cannot thank you guys enough for that. It's been a really fun ride so far. But if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, smash that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. You can check out all of my socials in the pinned comment description down below. We have a great Discord where you can come chat about all kinds of things going on the live feeds. But we also have other great channels on there too, where you can chat about Survivor, Big Brother, The Amazing Race. We've even got a place where you can talk about sports or post pictures of your pets. So come on, hang out on the Discord. It's a lot of fun. You can check out my Twitter as well, which was really popular because I actually did post a video. If you guys still have questions about how Zach's power works, I did post the full clip over on Twitter if you want to check that out, about when he received his power, how it was worded. Again, I can understand some of the question marks that people have with when exactly he has to use it, but from everything I know, from hearing what he was saying, I believe it has to be at the end of the veto ceremony, which has passed already. So this week, he is staying on the block, and there's no other time that he can take himself off. If Thursday comes around and Zach comes off the block, I will be blown away because it is fully not what I'm expecting to happen. And I do not think that is how it works. But we'll see. Because I also think that would be way overpowered as well. Could you imagine if he takes himself off on Thursday, somebody new goes up and they have to go compete in the Blockbuster and had no time to campaign all throughout the week? That'd be like an actual backdoor, which also maybe is a way that Blockbuster could end up being fixed. Let's move the veto ceremony to Thursdays, because that's another thing here too. I'm rambling now, but Blockbuster, I've got issues with it still. I think it makes people do dumb things. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Means.
Just know at the end of the day, I'm not a bad egg. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Where's your belt in the